Welcome to NFL Nexus. Listen, in today's cinematic explainer, we are going to dissect a phenomenon that completely defies all conventional football logic. We're looking at how a reigning champion, a team standing at the absolute, undeniable peak of their power, somehow became an overnight underdog. It's honestly a story of massive, franchise-altering gambles, completely shocking departures, and an unprecedented, almost suffocating level of doubt from the outside world. But first, before we pull back the curtain and get into the gritty details, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this explainer, comment your thoughts down below as we go, and please consider supporting the channel by becoming a channel member. Your support is literally what lets us keep producing these deep dives into the gridiron. All right, let's dive into this.
So, how exactly does a champion become an underdog? Everything, and I mean everything, changed in a matter of seconds. I want you to just think about where this franchise was recently. Take a step back. The Seattle Seahawks were coming off a dominant, absolutely overwhelming 29-13 Super Bowl victory over the New England Patriots. They didn't just edge out a win, they dismantled their opponent on the biggest, brightest stage imaginable. The Lombardi Trophy was theirs. They had reached the undisputed summit of the National Football League. And yet, it's like the confetti had barely been swept off the stadium floor before the entire narrative violently shifted. The football world didn't crown a new dynasty. They didn't talk about a repeat. Instead, everybody immediately started looking for cracks in the armor. The mood surrounding this team right now is perfectly captured by ESPN's Kevin Clark. He just put it bluntly. He said, "The Seahawks are on the short list for most disrespected Super Bowl champions of my lifetime." Think about the weight of that statement. Clark actually goes on to compare this strange, tense atmosphere to the Eli Manning Giants, or even the Peyton Manning Broncos. You know, situations where the day after the Super Bowl, a completely new conversation started about literally everybody but the actual champions. Right now, head coach Mike Macdonald and quarterback Sam Darnold are staring down an unprecedented level of disrespect from analysts who are already completely writing them off. The media is treating their hard-earned championship like it was some kind of fluke anomaly, rather than the foundation of a dominant new era.
Section 1. Rebuilding the receiver room.
So you have to ask yourself, where does this towering, suffocating doubt actually stem from? Well, it all starts with a shocking, deeply unsettling offensive overhaul. You do not typically see a championship team willingly detonate its own passing attack. But in Seattle, the familiar faces, that built-in chemistry, the established trust, it was all aggressively stripped down to the studs in the offseason. And these departures, they were not just minor rotational pieces. They lost their franchise cornerstones. Tyler Lockett, the ultimate veteran security blanket, released. DK Metcalf, the terrifying absolute physical freak of nature, the blend of size and speed that opposing defenses literally planned their entire week around, traded away. Gone. You simply cannot remove that staggering level of production from a starting lineup without causing a massive, immediate void. This drastic maneuver instantly forced this blinding, high-pressure spotlight onto the remaining offensive weapons. The margin for error? Completely erased. Every single target now carries the haunting weight of those massive departures. Amidst that terrifying void, one man had to step up and shoulder an almost unimaginable burden: 1,793. Let that number sink in for a second. That isn't just a statistic. That is a testament to sheer, unadulterated survival in the NFL. Jackson Smith-Njigba carried this entire unit on his back like a lone wolf. He recorded a staggering league-high 1,793 receiving yards. He pulled in 119 catches. His performance was so dominant, so entirely essential to keeping the Seattle offense afloat, that he rightfully won the NFL Offensive Player of the Year award. But here's the massive problem going into the 2026 campaign. Every single defensive coordinator in the league knows he is the singular, isolated focal point. They know it, and they are game planning for it. The front office isn't blind. Knowing that Smith-Njigba cannot physically survive double and triple coverage on every single down without breaking, they had to make a move, and they made a desperate, massive one. To survive the 2026 campaign, they made a high-stakes, $51 million gamble. They went out and handed a massive 3-year extension to receiver Rashid Shaheed. $51 million. That is the kind of staggering, premium contract you give to a proven, unstoppable force. It's an immense, exceptionally heavy investment that immediately ratchets up the pressure on the entire organization to justify that enormous price tag. They push all their chips to the middle of the table. So, the absolutely crucial point we have to examine is, did they pay for potential or did they actually pay for production? Back in 2023 with the New Orleans Saints, Shaheed proved his explosive potential. He racked up 46 receptions for 719 yards and 5 touchdowns. He looked electric, right? He looked like the future. But the reality of his actual stint in Seattle paints a vastly different, deeply concerning picture. Look at this. Across 9 whole games, he has secured just 15 receptions, a mere 188 yards. We are talking about less than 2 catches a game, with his impact primarily limited to the return game. You do not pay $51 million for a return specialist. His massive, multi-million-dollar extension is already drawing intense, unrelenting criticism following that ghost-like stretch. If this offense is going to lean heavily on the passing game to defend their title, every single target to Shaheed has to start counting immediately.
And the tension certainly does not stop there. The veterans they do have left in the building are actively fighting father time. Cooper Kupp managed 47 receptions for 593 yards and 2 touchdowns. But look, he is aging. His dominant prime is clearly in the rear view mirror, which means the unproven youth on this roster must instantly step into the fire. Second-year player Torrey Horton caught 5 touchdowns, but here's the unbelievable, highly concerning detail about that. He did it on just 13 total targets as a rookie. That kind of wild red zone efficiency is virtually impossible to sustain over a grueling full season. And then they also have 6th-round rookie Emmanuel Henderson looking to somehow provide a spark out of nowhere. These young players must instantly deliver under immense pressure, or the entire passing game is going to collapse right around Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Section 2. Chaos in the backfield. As precarious and nerve-wracking as that receiver room is right now, the tension there genuinely pales in comparison to the absolute crisis unfolding in the Seahawks' backfield. A championship offense needs a reliable ground game to control the clock and punish tired defenses, right? That's football 101. Instead, Seattle's offseason running back timeline reads like a literal disaster script. First, you have the absolute heartbreak. Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III leaves in free agency. The ultimate weapon, the guy who brought you a ring, gone. Then, a completely devastating blow in the playoffs. Zach Charbonnet, the obvious heir apparent, suffers a torn ACL. That's an injury demanding months and months of grueling rehab, rendering him completely unavailable for the early, crucial part of the season. This catastrophic dual loss forced Seattle into a desperate corner, effectively pushing them to panic and use a premium first-round pick in the NFL draft on Notre Dame's Jadarian Price. They needed an immediate, high-end answer to a completely unexpected problem.
To try and stop the bleeding, the front office also brought in veteran Emmanuel Wilson from free agency. Wilson is a steady, reliable force. Over 3 years in Green Bay, he averaged a very respectable 4.5 yards per carry. But let's be honest about what he is here. He is the veteran stopgap, the human Band-Aid brought in to hold the line, to protect the football, and to provide some semblance of calm stability while the highly touted rookie Price learns the incredibly complex NFL ropes, and while Charbonnet rehabs his knee in the training room. It's a patchwork solution for a championship team. Yet rising from this absolute chaos is a name very, very few people saw coming: George Holani. He is a 3rd-year, undrafted running back out of Boise State, and he is absolutely refusing to be ignored by this coaching staff. He has dominated off-season workouts, running every single drill as if his life depends on it. Observers who are actually in the building have literally called him the biggest winner of Seahawks minicamp. He is playing with the desperate, fiery energy of a man who knows this might be his final golden opportunity to carve out a permanent role in the National Football League. It's an incredible underdog story brewing right in the middle of this crisis. But make absolutely no mistake about it. Holani's fight for the number 2 running back spot is a brutal uphill war against monumental institutional odds. Just look at the math here. Jadarian Price has the ultimate leverage of being a first-round pick. The franchise is heavily financially and emotionally invested in his success as the future lead back. They need him to work out. Emmanuel Wilson has the inherent trust that comes with being a proven NFL veteran who doesn't turn the ball over. And George Holani, he is undrafted. He is quite literally fighting for his survival on this roster every single time he touches the football. And the critics outside the building, they are exceptionally loud, and they are armed with cold, hard logic. Bleacher Report's Gary Davenport really laid out the harsh reality of this situation. He said, over 2 seasons in the NFL, Holani has 25 carries for 83 yards total. He has averaged 3.3 yards a carry and battled nagging injuries. Davenport makes a piercing, almost unarguable point. If the Seahawks truly, genuinely believed in Holani's meager resume, if they actually thought he and Emmanuel Wilson could hold down the fort, they never ever would have burned a precious first-round pick on Jadarian Price in the first place. The doubt surrounding this entire backfield strategy is absolutely deafening. Section 3. The Ultimate Revenge Tour. All of this micro-level tension, the massive, heartbreaking departures of guys like Metcalf and Walker, the $51 million gambles, the untested youth, and the brutal, grinding roster battles in the backfield, it all culminates right here. The Seattle Seahawks are entering a season fueled by pure, unadulterated disrespect. They are literally the kings of the mountain, yet the entire football world is treating them like a fragile house of cards just waiting to be blown over. And the reckoning? It arrives immediately. Mark your calendars for September 9th, Week 1, a high-stakes, prime-time Super Bowl rematch against the New England Patriots, the very team they just crushed 29-13 to win it all. All the off-season noise, all the podcasts, all the articles predicting their inevitable downfall, it will all be tested under the brightest possible lights. There are no more hypotheticals on September 9th, only execution. Which leaves us with the ultimate, defining question for this franchise. Will this massive chip on their shoulder forge an undeniable dynasty, proving that Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold can win no matter who is on the roster? Or will the staggering weight of their own massive roster turnover lead to a catastrophic collapse on national television? The whole world is watching, holding its breath to see if Seattle will violently silence the doubters once again. Believe me, this isn't over yet. Thank you so much for watching this NFL Nexus Explainer. If you want to keep diving deep into the true stories behind the gridiron, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this explainer, comment your predictions down below. I want to hear what you guys think, and remember to support the channel by becoming a channel member. We will see you next time.